We've talked a lot about the positive stuff of Starfield, and there's loads of it. It's a great Bethesda game, but it's a Bethesda game. That means it ain't gonna be perfect. And being imperfect, there is stuff that people dislike about it too. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 things players hate about Starfield. Now, I want to preface this with a disclaimer really quick. I am a huge Bethesda fan. I absolutely love their games. I'm not trying to old yeller Starfield here. I'm not taking it out back and dealing with it. That said, it's not a flawless game, and today we're going to talk about that. Starting off with number 10, the invisible walls. I'm coming in hot here. Players were hating on this before the game even came out. In retrospect, it feels a little overblown, but there are invisible walls that appear when you travel far out on any planet. No matter where you are or how open it looks, eventually you will run into a barrier that stops you from progressing. There's nothing to tell you that it's there until you run into it, and there's nothing to explain why it is there in the world of the game. It's just a game thing. So, given we've kind of been spoiled with space games that randomly generate full planets, and we don't even randomly generate a single entire planet in this game, I'll get into that in a second. If you land in a place, it randomly generates some of the planet. If you land in another place, it randomly generates another area of the planet. And what separates them is not more randomly generated terrain, it's invisible walls that don't allow you to go in between the two landing places. Like, you can't traverse your way back to the other area. Now, the reason why I say this is overblown is you kind of have to walk a really long time to hit an invisible wall, and it's mostly walking in a direction where there's nothing to see. I don't really know why you would explore a map enough to hit the invisible wall. And yeah, that brings up another legitimate complaint that there is not enough unique stuff to do on every planet, but it's not like Bethesda lied or anything. It's just kind of ridiculous to want to explore an entire planet on foot. They're pretty big. What's interesting about all this is that fans have tested it, and apparently the planets actually are fully connected all around. They're not just instances, so while you cannot walk between them, and there, for all intents and purposes, isn't really any ground in between them, I don't think it's randomly generating any terrain, apparently the game just throws up barriers that prevent you from doing this, probably because of the creation engine, which I mentioned is not the best engine of all time. Now, there's an argument to be made that you should just be allowed to walk everywhere. Yeah, I get it. That it requires randomly generating probably more content, but really all that is following a seed. But I'll say this, it's probably a cliche, but if you want full planetary exploration, there's probably going to be a mod for it. At number 9, when you're over encumbered and you have to walk back to your ship. Now, I mentioned this in another video, but wow, it is an irritating one. There's just few moments in the game worse than when you're wandering around clearing out points of interest, you take out some enemies, loot everything that's not nailed down, and now you're over encumbered. You picked up too much stuff, and now you're gonna have to figure out some way to walk all the way back to your ship. It's one of those things that doesn't actually matter that much, and it has an easy solution, just drop a few things, but that's really not the Spacer way. The Spacer way is to steal everything in sight, okay? The walk back after an epic loot fest is Starfield's walk of shame, basically. It feels so wrong. You feel like a total idiot for letting your inventory get out of control, but I'm not going to leave all 5 of those identical guns around. Think about all the credits. I could sell 4 of those and keep one, or all of them. Maybe I don't even want the one. Maybe I just want the credits. Being over encumbered sucks in any RPG, but it's especially bad in Starfield, where the huge swaths of nothing you're forced to traverse is the reward for, a great haul. If you just drop a few things, you can immediately teleport back to the ship, but that's just not happening. Maybe if your inventory space was a little bigger, it wouldn't be so much of a problem, which that brings us to our next point. At number 8, the limited inventory. It's one of those things about Starfield that's both not a huge deal, but also a huge deal. It's a crazy annoying problem. You just don't have enough inventory space. Your starting capacity is not very good. Your ship isn't much better, especially if you want to build an outpost, which requires a ton of resources. And if you're the type who likes to pick up everything, and this is a Bethesda game, so chances are high that you are, then you're gonna be managing your inventory constantly. You're given stuff to companions, sorting through the ship inventory, dumping stuff at the outpost. It's just a non-stop bag of switching around inventory like a friggin' puzzle because it never feels like you have enough space to carry everything that you want. There are ways around it, of course. Getting a ship with a lot more cargo capacity, basically an essential for the space hoarder. If you're on PC, the other option is to just cheat, max out your possible inventory, and just carry everything on your back. Of course, cheating isn't really a legitimate solution to any gameplay problem, and console gamers are out of luck on that respect anyways, so it's not really a silver bullet. The only true easy fix here is for Bethesda to just make it so you can carry more stuff. Or like maybe give you an infinite chest somewhere to dump all your stuff, because as it is, having to play inventory shuffle every hour gets kind of old pretty fast. And number 7, forgetting what you've picked up and then getting caught with contraband. Has this ever happened to you? Because it's happened to me more than once. And by more than once, I mean a lot. You're going through some random base, mindlessly nabbing everything in front of you because it's a Bethesda game. Well, one of those items happens to be contraband and you're not really even paying attention. And that yellow symbol doesn't set you off. Even though it should, you're completely desensitized to it because you've been playing the game for more than 10 minutes. So you don't think anything about it, head off to a main city to complete a quest. You hit the planetary checkpoint, and you see the little message, there's contraband in your inventory.
Our scan detected contraband. Halt and prepare to be boarded. All illegal and stolen goods will be confiscated.
If it was just that, then fine, who cares? They also confiscate all your stolen items. That's the real problem here. Some of the best stuff you get, you steal in this game. And it's all asking to be taken. It's usually not hard. And it's easy for a significant portion of your inventory to just be filled with stolen goods. And when you're caught, it's all gone. So you reload your game, you do something else, totally forget about all the contraband in your inventory. Again, it's an endless cycle that can be remedied by just, selling off all your crap. But you don't do it because you just forget about it. It's a bother. So it keeps happening. You keep getting caught with contraband, even though it's really not even worth that much. It's certainly not worth all the annoyance, but it's also, it costs money. And number 6, building ships doesn't let you look at the interior. This is one of those things that really starts to get annoying when you're deep in the weeds in the shipbuilder, but it really is a pain if you want to make a ship that both looks awesome and has a functional interior. Let me preface this by saying the ship customization in this game is freaking amazing. It's one of Starfield's most impressive accomplishments, which is saying a lot. But it's also not a perfect system. There's some fiddly parts of making your own custom ship, and the most glaring and obvious is that you can't look at the interior while you're editing. It wouldn't be that big of an issue if you knew what each module had inside of it, or you got a picture of the interior when you built it, but you don't. The only way to be sure what you're getting is to check the Reddit and look at this fan updated listing that tells you what each ship module actually has inside it. Your ship is basically home base. It's the thing that you're spending the most amount of time in this game in, so it makes sense to try to make it as functional as possible and make it look cool. And while the tools are extremely robust for the outside of the ship, the interior is kind of just a crapshoot. Pretty much your only recourse is to constantly save and reload at the different ship interiors to see which one you really like. It's really awkward and time consuming. Pretty much anybody who spends a lot of time in the build menu really hates it or is lying. Hopefully Bethesda comes up with some kind of a solution for this one. It's not that big of a deal for a lot of people, but for folks who really want to make their ship interiors interesting, it can be a huge pain in the ass because it's not going to just happen. Oh yeah, and any loose objects you leave in the ship get sent to the inventory if you edit the ship at all, which also sucks, but at least it's understandable. And number 5, the chatty vendors. This one's kind of dumb, but when somebody pointed out how weird it is every vendor wants to tell you their entire life story when you first meet them, I just could not stop noticing it.
To be honest, I don't really know what I want. I just know that if I don't find something soon, my parents won't just disown me. They'll have me stripped for parts.
This sort of NPC behavior in something like Skyrim or Fallout makes a certain amount of sense. Their worlds are very different from ours. The process of buying and selling goods is different from our normal day-to-day experiences, but in Starfield, it's kind of a lot closer to the world we live in. New Atlantis is filled with fast food joints and coffee shops. It's basically just a modern capitalist society where commerce is safe and easy, but vendors still want to explain to you who they are, what's going on with them, and I don't feel like I really need to establish the same kind of trust in these worlds. It's not post-apocalyptic. It's not centuries ago or based on centuries ago. It's kind of just like there's a social contract. I feel like I can do business with you. And if you make problems for me, I mean, you're going to face consequences.
Huh. I thought it was a joke at first, but yet here you are. Let me get that for you. I wonder why they keep running out so quickly over there. Anyway, tell Luther I said hi.
When I'm buying coffee at like Starbucks, the guy at the register doesn't like stop and explain to me anything about himself or like why it's better to go to this Starbucks than the rival coffee company nearby or trying to probe me to figure out if I'm a trustable customer. I just give him money for like coffee and I walk out. There's no reason for either of us to not trust that the other one is just straightforwardly doing the thing that they're trying to do. And it gets annoying after a while. I know Bethesda's just trying to insert a little character into the world, but I just want to sell some stuff, not talk to some dude about his marital troubles or something. It's really distracting and awkward most of the time. I know, you can skip through the talking bits, and I do that. It's not that bad. So, yeah. But it's really unnatural and it starts to get goofy after a while. Like if I went up to a new salesman and they started telling me about their life story, I'd just be like, okay, well, I can go buy my robot at somebody who's not going to, tell me all this mundane crap. I don't care. You got a good robot, man? I just want to unload 50 stolen machine guns and I want that robot. We don't need to know each other at all, my man. At number 4 is being an idiot and injuring yourself. The injury system in this game adds a little bit of a survival element to Starfield. It's not just guys shooting at you that are dangerous, the environment itself can be a danger. So that makes you the ultimate danger to yourself. It felt like 90% of my injuries in this game were self-inflicted. Starfield gives you a boost pack, so like, I'm gonna use the boost to get through. Sorry, I had to shoehorn that one in there. That wasn't gonna not happen. But, I mean, who doesn't want to jump around the world? Get over walls, jump on catwalks, do all kinds of cool and useful stuff. It beats having to walk everywhere. It's great, but it's also a really good tool for hurting yourself constantly. Like, nothing in this game makes me feel like a bigger idiot than when I'm boosting around and I forget to do something to cushion my fall and I just like injure myself. And I am not getting better about it. It happens all the time. It is never not annoying too. All I had to do was let out a little mini boost at the end there before hitting the ground, but I always forget and I got a sprained ankle or a fractured limb or something. And it's because I'm playing Space Skyrim basically. And in my head, it's just Skyrim. So like none of this stuff's there. I mean, this is why they need to move to a different engine. In my head, these new mechanics, they just aren't there sometimes. Especially when I've gotten used to the cool aspects of them, and I'm just counting on the rest of the jank to exist, because so much of the jank just exists. But I love getting a fractured limb for my trouble. That's a fun one. It's super temporary, so, I mean, it's kind of disappointing in the long run, but it's great. I love those injuries and their frickin' propensity to happen. Like, honestly, all joking aside, it's mostly a harmless system that doesn't cause too many issues. But if you end up hurting yourself constantly, you really start to hate it. And number 3 is no city maps. The last few things, they've been kind of frivolous things to hate on, just annoying. Things that stick out in your head after a while. But this one's pretty bad. Like, people complain about Fallout 4's maps, but at least the game had them. In Starfield, the best you're gonna get is a blank-looking planetary map that tells you nothing about the city. The only way you're getting around is to memorize the city layout or just stick to quest markers, which that ain't gonna help you if you ain't doing a quest. Beyond that, there's nothing else you can do unless you want to, like, draw yourself a map, and that's not gonna help a whole lot, because then it's gonna act like a, old school paper map. You have to figure out where you are on it at any given time in order for it to be relevant. It's not like a mini map where you're a little dot on it. It changes as you move around. So honestly, Bethesda putting a lot of faith in the player in a way that I'm not sure that we want to be trusted. Like, yeah, easy to remember where Mast is in New Atlantis, but what about the gun store? I always forget whether it's left or right at the train station. So I inevitably run to one side of the city, not see the store that I'm looking for, because it's not there, and then I have to run to the other side of the city. And this game is not like Shenmue or anything. It doesn't take place in the 80s. It takes place in the far future, where, frankly, a mini-map is probably going to be embedded into our friggin' eyeballs everywhere we go. So, like, why is it not part of the consideration? Neon's a friggin' maze. Aquila City, not much better. They're fairly compact, but, like, good luck finding certain stores on your first, second, or even 15th visit to these places. Like, it's flattering that Todd Howard thinks that we're all friggin' geniuses with amazing senses of direction, but maybe don't assume that's us. We're not that, Todd. And number 2 is horribly one-sided space battles. When you're winning, space battles are awesome. There's moments where the game throws some tough odds at you, but you can overcome them by the skin of your teeth, and that's, I guess, cool. The flying's not the best, but it's functional in these situations. Every so often, though, the game's gonna throw ridiculous odds at you that just don't make sense. They're seemingly impossible. Actually scratch it. They are impossible. Depending on the ship you're rolling with, you can't win. In these situations, dogfights are weird and unfairly hard. When you're getting blown away by 4 enemy ships that just pound you with laser blasts, it sucks. There's moments where it feels like there's basically really just nothing you can do. You can boost away temporarily and get behind one guy, but then his 3 buddies just start blasting. I feel like we've gotten a fair amount of these Always Sunny references into these Starfield videos so far, but yeah, they're appropriate. These things just turn into damage races. Sometimes the game gives you some asteroids to hide behind, and they do help a little bit with space combat, but the majority of these encounters feel like you're just getting pelted with lasers nonstop until you manage to thin out the herd. It's basically a stat check without much skill involved, especially early on when your ship feels slow and weak. Now, when the one-sided space battles work in your favor, it's not that bad, but when you get stuck in a situation where your options are to run away or turn down the difficulty, it just kind of sucks. And at number 1, the loading screens. It's probably the number 1 complaint I've seen online, and I gotta admit, it's not great. If there's any one thing that's disappointing about Starfield, it's really the endless loading screens. This really bugs people, and it's easy to see why. Many modern games do everything they can to hide loading, or make it so the game only loads once at startup, or they come up with these clever solutions to make a game feel seamless, even when it's not. There's seams in every game. Starfield, however, it is old school. It does not hide any of that. There's no control when you're traveling from space to surface, no control when you're flying from one planet to another, or grav jumping to a new system. There's door transitions whenever you go inside most areas, and even though they're extremely short, it's obvious these areas are in different instances, that they're not interconnected, blah blah blah. If you had to fly around everywhere, it'd be a huge drag, so the game relies on fast travel, which has its own problems, and the constant menu hopping kind of just feels immersion breaking. It kind of makes the game feel like a collection of checkpoints you're ping-ponging between at times, and it feels disjointed and awkward. And here's, okay, perfect example. For the mission Ground Pounder, there's this one point in the mission where they want you to rescue another base, so you have to stop everything, get in your ship, fly to the other side of the planet, kill the 4 or 5 guys, get back in your ship, fly back, and continue the mission. It feels like a total waste of time. Half the trip out there was either navigating menus or sitting through loading screens, and while that's an extreme example, in a lot of situations, it wouldn't feel anything like this. A lot of games like this would all be one continuous thing, and it is not. After a while, you do get accustomed to it, and honestly, I'll take a lot of fast travel over the alternative of having to manually take off and land everywhere, but it starts to get annoying after a while. I don't hate the constant loading and fast travel in Starfield, not as much as some people do anyways, but I can see why some people do. There's a few ways to get around the endless menu use, like how you can directly travel to a place by opening up the scanner on your ship, but that doesn't solve the constant loading issues, and really not the tedious menu stuff. It's never great, but Bethesda decides that they have to be stuck in the creation engine, which I will complain about until the day they stop. Like, seriously, it's so easy. Just do what Obsidian does and use Unreal. It's built for open worlds. They do a fantastic job with it. And sometimes I think Obsidian has proven with evidence since New Vegas that they understand what Bethesda fans really, really care about with Bethesda games. But that's a discussion for another time. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.